ship. The Abomination clone is...
So good of you to come. Shame to be around.
Glad we're on the same... Got it down!
What's going on, everyone? It's Stardust here and welcome back to another build showcase video here in Marvel's Avengers. Today we're going to be going through the Missile Mayhem Iron Man build. Now the clue is in the name, it's going to be dedicated to missiles, it's going to be dedicated to doing plenty of damage. So before we do that, ladies and gentlemen, we'll look at the stats. 62 might, of course I'm not going to be using a lot of punches in this build. Precision 351, of course that is the daddy of the build, that is the main source of damage. Proficiency, good little bit of critical chance, but you know we get a lot of damage regardless of that, through means of battery effects, through means of tachyon surges and so on and so forth, but it's still good to have anyway. Low valor, just because we're putting all our eggs into one basket with precision for this build, and of course we have a little bit of resolve to keep ourselves alive, and 0 on everything else. Now we're going to go through the gear pieces as before, and then we'll go through the skills, and I'll explain sort of my thought process with everything. So as you can see here, we start off with Gauntlets of the Storm, an exotic that I got from a Tachyon Rift. Precision 63, of course, nice high precision, and as you can see there, 62 might, which is pretty much the majority of where I get my striking power from if I have to do it. But as you can see here, it's going to be a battery effect sort of situation with the PIM missiles that you'll be seeing a minute later. But light combo finishes trigger a burst of cryo damage. Light signature attacks deal cryo damage, dispersing cryo particles on every impact. Now of course doing this means, say I'm wanting to get that battery effect, but I don't have my support heroic up, I'll use the light signature attacks, get everyone covered in cryo, and then blast them with the PIM missiles. And as you can see here, 29.4% chance when hitting an enemy with a melee critical attack. Of course, there's a good chance with my proficiency that I may do a critical attack while I'm doing this, so therefore get the Tachyon Surge up, blast him with the PIM, we're good to go already with the first piece of gear. So we'll look at this targeted protection repulsor, proficiency 50, resolve 49. You're probably thinking, why haven't you got a precision on there? It is simply just because, unfortunately in this case, the perks outweigh the stats, but I've made up for precision elsewhere, and you'll see that in a moment. 86.2% chance hitting an enemy with a ranged critical attack grants a defense buff. My word, I can't speak today. Basically, because the resolve is so low, and because I'm using missiles anyway, I'm going to be hitting critical attacks quite often, so defense buff will be up a lot of the time anyway. Of course that helps my somewhat low resolve, it stops me from getting overwhelmed and getting comboed really easily. Of course we've got the PIM particle payload, the missile attack still particle damage, of course that goes in line with the battery damage that I mentioned moments ago. Of course hot and cold damage. If you don't know a lot about that, I may do a video going into that a little bit more, but I would like to assume that a lot of people do know, but if they don't, I don't mind discussing it in the comments down below. Expert buff, 84.4% chance defeating an enemy with a ranged critical attack grants a damage buff. Now this is of course an excellent piece to have, because basically if I kill any enemy with a ranged critical attack, which the missiles tend to do quite often, it almost guarantees a damage buff, which we all love our damage buffs, you know what I'm saying. I wasn't able to get any when it comes to bosses, and I was still able to pretty much melt them relatively fast, so I can only imagine the type of damage I would do if I managed to get that damage buff up. And I will attempt to put a piece of footage of that in this video, either before or after I finish talking about the build. Nimble protection plating. Now a lot of this is pretty much just getting stats, you know what I mean. 41 Valor. Valor's it's not that important, but to be honest with you, I didn't really want to have like no Valor, because you know Valor is still important in some ways of getting some critical damage, even though realistically I would rather be doing high damage often than just high damage when I'm getting critical attacks, if you see what I'm saying. But precision 44, proficiency 35. Of course, you know that proficiency and precision are kind of the main targets for this build. I won't even go over the gear perks, because you know they're pretty much the only one here that I would say I like is Courageous Protection. 59.9% chance when critically injured to grant a defense buff. So obviously if I'm running low on health, defense buff will buff me up a little bit. That'll allow me to maybe escape a situation and help me out. Also, I do apologise real quick about how messy my gear stats are. Not stats, my apologies, my inventory. You can see I don't clean them out often. Here we've got Reactor of the Storm. Now this one is going to raise a few eyebrows, because we have proficiency and precision again, 47, 47, 47, 18.3% chance when defeating enemies to temporarily activate a Tachyon Surge. Now that's amazing. Tachyon Surges of course increase all status damage by 50% when they're active. You'll notice that when I go into the boss fights I break the glass again. This of course activates the Tachyon Surge. That means that my damage with the status, with the battery effect, goes up by 50%, which is, you know, of course fantastic. You'll see Heroic Assistance increases charge rate of heroic support ability by 18%. That is a big source of protection and getting the battery effect. But the Gamma Potinator increases the amount of gamma damage done with any attack by 20%. I don't want. I genuinely dislike it, unless of course I can get a Gauntlet of the Storm with Gamma, which I don't know. I've not seen a lot of Gamma in this, but I imagine that I'll be able to find something via the Avengers science table. However, I would love this with Pim, obviously, or even Cryo. You know, just something to buff up one of my battery effects would go a long way. Over here, of course, we've got the Sacred Norn Stone of Lethal Will. 6.1% increased critical chance when the damage boost is active, increased duration of all damage buffs by 4 seconds, and of course to activate it for my console PS5 it's L3 and R3 to activate a damage boost. Now I like this. It seems to do a lot more damage than Tactagon, which you would think wouldn't be the case because it increases status damage from all attacks, but in all honesty it's you know, it doesn't do what I want it to really do, and it kind of bugs me that it doesn't seem as strong as it looks for this build. You think that this would absolutely work to the best, but so far Lethal Will it's carried a lot of these high damage builds that you're going to see and what you will see. It's a very underrated piece that I think a lot of people ignore because they see stuff like increased duration of all damage buffs by 4 seconds and they think that's not enough. But if you have damage buff anywhere in your build at all and you rely on it for that high damage, then personally I believe it is fantastic. So of course we've got 2 stacks of precision here. I want 3 stacks. It's pretty self-explanatory, but the idea is there. The perks don't really matter in this case, and precision, literally the same thing. The perks don't matter, it's just there to be a stat stick. Now we're going to move on to the skills, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, as always, I won't talk about the primary because you will naturally unlock this anyway. But here we go. So, we've got Arc Overload, Specialization, and for this week, I've chosen Arc Field. Now, of course, for this one, it allows the electricity to go off, and it allows me to be protected, keep myself safe, no one can get in through the bubble. It keeps me secure for boss situations or when I'm totally surrounded. So here we've got for Specialization 2, The arc field frequency modifications reflect projectiles back at the enemy who launched them. Requires use of the arc field ability. Now, this is very good. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but in this game there are a lot of projectiles that come from every type of angle. This allows me to stay protected from all of them, so I don't just get hit in the back and die out of nowhere, for example. Iron Man is a very good offensive and defensive character, and I do believe that this piece complements it quite a lot. So here we go, Unibeam Specialization 1. So I've gone for this one, a concentrated beam that combines both repulsor and Unibeam firepower into a single massive energy blast that deals a large amount of damage to everything in its path. Now, we don't use the Unibeam often, of course. I don't have a great deal of heroic rating to really help any of these sort of pieces, but I would say that the most damage you can get, the better. It's just personally one that I prefer. So here we go, with Specialization 2 we've got enemies defeated by Unibeam will drop Heroic Orbs. Heroic Orbs, of course, are what I need to get my support heroic, so I can activate the arc field, get that battery damage, protect myself at all times, so I can just keep blasting away with my missiles, because of course when you activate the arc field you get supercharged. I believe it's 14 seconds. I feel like I'm wrong when I say that. Is there a way to have a look here? Arc overload. Does it say it does for 10 seconds? My apologies, and this will keep it on for 3, so 13 seconds in total. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. I apologise for me being a bit stupid, but either way, Heroic Orbs, get that support heroic up. So obviously with Hulkbuster, this personally doesn't matter. You won't see me go in the Hulkbuster often. The only reason I won't bother showing this is because I personally only use Hulkbuster ever if my health is running low and I need I need protection and I need a boost. Because of course you're invincible when you're in the Hulkbuster. So say my health's running low, I quickly smack it on, get covered up, I'm fine, I'm rosy. And as you can see here, we're going to look into the melee stats now. Again, they're very unimportant, but melee upgrade for this one I've chosen increase the damage of all combo finishers by 25%. As you can see with my first stat, cryo is important for the build when I don't have my arc field activated. So it helps to have it at the end of my light combo finishers. And I'm not sure, by the way, if this counts, because of course the heavy attack with the missiles is its own thing, but I don't think it's ranged. Sorry, it is ranged, but I don't know if it counts towards combo finishers. But regardless of that, even if it does or it doesn't, it's still helpful for the cryo light finisher combos. Performing a takedown on takedown upgrade. So performing a takedown forces an enemy to drop an intrinsic orb. Ladies and gentlemen, I need it to blast. Intrinsic energy is what keeps Iron Man going with his blasters. Of course, you could choose a couple performing a takedown, force an enemy to drop a heroic orb. I could have had that, but I don't really do a lot of stun damage with Iron Man, so it kind of seems pointless when I could just use it to continue blasting. You know what I mean? Ranged attack mastery. We've got increases all ranged attack damage by 15%. Must I say more about the reason I've chosen this, ladies and gentlemen? I want to do extreme damage. Let's just proc everything onto there. Now, this is an interesting part. These three here. So these three here: ranged weapon mastery, ranged weapon specialization, and ranged weapon efficiency. They make the build. If you're doing a ranged build, you want to have a look at these, ladies and gentlemen, because as you notice at the top, you get repulsors, right? In the middle, you'll get lasers, and at the bottom you get missiles. And because this is a missile focused build, rockets, you'll notice that I go for rocket mastery. Increases damage for all rockets by 12%. Adds target guidance system to basic aimed rocket attacks, because my aim's terrible. This helps that. Decreases the intrinsic energy cost for rocket attacks by 10%. Do you see what I'm saying? I need intrinsic to continue blasting. So as you can see here, arc reactor efficiency, so I've gone for increases the base regeneration speed of intrinsic energy by 10%, Of course, keep that intrinsic energy going as much as I can. Keep blasting. You're going to hear that a lot, because that's kind of the whole point, obviously. The more I blast, the more chances I get to get my defense buff, get my damage buff, just continue to grow those buffs. And Arc Reactor Advancement increases the duration of the overcharge state by 2 seconds. Overcharge is helpful, of course. It just naturally helps my damage, keeps me blasting for as long as I possibly can, and it's just good. You know what I mean? It's just good. Arc Reactor Overclock increases damage for all attacks while overcharged by 12.5%. Now, of course, this goes in line with that. If I extend the duration of overcharged, I do more damage. It's just everyone. I just win in this scenario. Do you see what I'm saying? I just win in this scenario. Get overcharged, do some damage, keep it up for a bit longer. And just keep my intrinsic up. This is what it's for. So, Arc Defense Advancement adds shock damage to the Energy Pulse ability. And we've got Tactical Barrier. Heroes near the Energy Barrier gain a 15% critical chance increase on all attacks, and increases the damage of ranged attacks while flying by 15%. Now, flight mastery for that one. Now, it's obvious if I'm flying a boot, I want to hit someone with one of my missiles, it'll do more damage. For these two, the only reason I'm not giving you a pure explanation is because it's not really something that I use often. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not really something I really go for, and that's pretty much it. It's not really something that I bother to even talk about. That's sort of one of the reasons why I haven't sort of gone into detail about them, because really these were just ones that I kind of went, they look cool, press. You know what I'm saying? So ladies and gentlemen, that is my Iron Man build. I hope that the way I give these build videos out is good enough. I hope that the way I talk about them in detail is enough for you guys to sort of understand it. And if you guys don't want to listen to me, then they're there. Do you know what I mean? You don't even need to listen to my stupid voice. They're all there. Ladies and gentlemen, the next build video you're going to be seeing is a Black Widow pistol sniper build, so be around for that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm also moderating on a subreddit, No Sodium Avengers, so be sure to check that out. Link will be in the description down below. Make sure to subscribe, make sure to like, make sure to do all that beautiful stuff. Please give me suggestions down below on how to improve my content going forward. We're trying to hit 100 subscribers by the end of February. Can we do it? I believe we can. Thank you guys. See you later. Peace.